Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the weekly MMA Cycles Market Update. Today is the 6th of November, 2024, and I am Gianni DePoce, your host. We are seeing quite the rally in stock markets in the United States following the presidential election victory by Donald Trump. So let's go ahead and jump over to my charts and look and see what's going on in this market now. Even though the election is out of the way, for now, we are looking at the next Fed meeting tomorrow. The Federal Reserve is expected to cut interest rates by 0.25% or 25 basis points, but stocks are just going absolutely parabolic right now. The Dow Jones Industrial Average surging to a new all-time high and actually getting close to some upside targets that we've been discussing in both the daily and weekly and monthly reports for that matter. We are also seeing a nice bid in the NASDAQ 100 as well. And let's see, did we finally make a new all-time high here? It's pretty close. This is the cash index, 20,690. We did finally make a new all-time high in the NASDAQ 100 cash index. So that was long awaited and kind of one of the signals that had us a bit in a cautionary state with respect to this rally, but that is out of the way. You know, we started off this week with some pretty favorable geocosmics. Aside from, Mars opposite Pluto, Mars had just ingressed into Leo this week, and we did have Venus opposite Jupiter, and that's a pretty, even though it's an opposition, it's a pretty, strong signature for markets, from a qualitative standpoint. And then we had Sun trine Saturn on the 4th, and looking ahead into next week, we have Venus squared Neptune could be important for this kind of irrational exuberance that's starting to creep into markets. Venus move into Capricorn on the 11th, and we're just now about 2 weeks away from Pluto making the final and definitive ingress into the sign of Aquarius. So it could be very consequential for the NASDAQ and tech stocks in general. The top performing sector year to date has been communications. And I would attribute a lot of that to Jupiter and Gemini. Even though Jupiter is in his detriment in the sign of Gemini, it's not uncommon to see sectors ruled by signs that Jupiter is transiting to outperform the market. So really no coincidence to see communications outperform, and that's being helped by stocks like Google and Netflix, and then Tesla also experiencing a major gap up and surge higher, up 14% on the day. You have names like Google up about 3% as well. So these are moving the markets right now. Obviously, you're seeing a massive move unfold in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as well. Bitcoin finally hitting a new all-time high. This confirms the new bull market. We are getting into the back half of some long-term cycles. Something to keep an eye on here. There still is time for new highs, plenty of time for new highs. I think this thing's going to be over 100,000 before we know it. But whenever you have Venus signatures coming up, it's always important to pay close attention for potential reversals. And now you look at Ethereum up almost 10% on the day. If Ethereum can clear, 2750, 2800, look out above. I think that will all but confirm that a new bull market is in effect. And that should help the entire cryptocurrency sector. You're seeing a lot of stocks related to crypto doing well in this tape. Bonds are catching a beating. You're seeing a drop to new lows here. But we are in the time band for a 50-week cycle low, and it should be interesting to see in the grand scheme of things whether the October 2023 low holds. I think that it will. It's still my bias for this moment in time. You were seeing a sell-off in crude oil. It has since recovered. There's a few dynamics at play here with the new administration that could be either bearish for crude oil at the beginning, but eventually bullish. Time will tell. But Venus square Neptune should be an important signature for this market. And if we're up near the highs here, I won't rule out another reversal back lower. We are obviously seeing a lot of carnage unfold in the precious metal space. Gold falling into an intermediate term cycle low. We're seeing silver sell off even higher. Silver's due for another cyclical bottom. So we'll see where these lows come in. I don't think the story in precious metals is over completely. We are also seeing a massive rally in the US dollar. The dollar against the yen is now testing the highs from July, or late July, I should say. it's looking very strong there. And the euro suffering massive losses against the dollar, a tremendous reversal, a loss of almost 2 cents in the exchange rate in one day is pretty significant. And I will point out that, this high that we had yesterday, we actually got short going into this high in both the weekly and daily reports. A little earlier on the weekly, but on the daily we got short just recently. And Venus opposite Jupiter, we were looking for a reversal here. We are in the time band for another cyclical bottom here, so have to keep an eye on this with all the Venus signatures coming up. Venus squaring Neptune this weekend, and then Venus ingressing into the sign of Capricorn next week could be important for currency markets. But right now, it looks like the world wants a piece of the action in the U.S. economy for the time being. Inflation is cooling right now, but I don't think that's going to last forever. And it's a big topic of discussion coming up in the Forecast 2024 book. You can find the details for all of that at www.mmacycles.com. I would also like to remind you that on Monday and Tuesday of next week, we will be publishing the new monthly cycles report, which is MMA's flagship product in publication now for over 40 years, something that Ray started way back when. So that continues to give tremendous value to traders and investors alike. So that's all that I really wanted to cover with you today. Keep an eye on the Fed rate cuts tomorrow, and just pay attention to the cycles, pay attention to the geocosmics, pay attention to the price action, try to tune out the noise in this market environment, and don't take the rallies for granted, because we do have some long-term cycles that are maturing, and I know that's something that Ray is going to tackle in the Forecast 2024. So that's all for now, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Take care.